We can be most effective when we are engaged in the political process, and there's no time like the present. One of our main goals is effective advocacy through active participation from you. Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything. Our efforts to keep you engaged and informed as to the importance of current events happening locally and abroad started 2 years ago. Our number one goal is to make a difference. We need you. Join us at the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass.
It's time to take back control of our society. Today's world requires an open and honest discussion about the current events. On the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, our goal is to engage people from different walks of life into a healthy discussion, creating a positive outcome. When it comes to global events, tune in to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on Monday nights at 7:30. We don't just listen to the news, we bring you the news. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. We are honored to have you as a guest tonight and want to thank each of you for your faithful support. Without further delay, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Baron Glass. Mr. Glass, take it away.
Hillary Clinton has earned enough delegates to become the presumptive Democratic nominee, making her the first woman ever to win a major party's nomination, according to the Associated Press about a couple of minutes ago. Good afternoon and welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, joined tonight by Mr. Dave Lamont and Miss Nikki Bedwick, and I'm not sure if Pastor Riggins will be out there tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about the California primary. Is less than 24 hours away. The question that some of us are asking is, can Bernie Sanders pull an upset? What must he do to win tomorrow night? It's getting close also to the convention itself. Many think that it is over for Bernie Sanders. Will it be a contested convention, and if so, is the right thing to do to continue to go on? And if he goes on, will this ensure a Donald Trump win in 2016? Tonight, once again, we're joined by Mr. Dave Lamont, Miss Nikki Bedwick, Miss Deb, and Miss Paula, and there are some others that are out there on the line. If you're out there listening, you want to call in and join in the conversation, you can call in at 773-897-6398, or you can hover right on over to www.thesmokingglasshour.com. The Smoking Glass Hour, all one word. Dave Lamont, good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Dave. I'm interested in hearing from you tonight. Nikki Bedwick, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fine, Baron. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Deb, how are you doing tonight out there in Missouri?
I'm doing great, Baron.
Okay, Paula, how are you doing out there tonight?
I'm doing fine.
I know that you guys are probably excited because if my recollection serves me correct, everybody that's on this line has actually been pulling for Bernie Sanders, and they are still pulling for Bernie Sanders. So I'm going to start this thing off with one of the most eloquent bass guys that is out there, Dave Lamont. Let's talk a little bit about the California primary. Less than 24 hours and time is ticking. Can Bernie actually pull this upset off? And if so, what must he do to win? We'll start it right there. Dave Lamont.
All right, if by upset you mean how he was steadily catching up in the polls over the last couple of weeks, then yeah, I think he actually can pull out a win in California.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that I have is the margin. He needs to win by, in order to make an effective show in California, he would need to get about 60 to 65% of the vote. Right now, they're in a statistical dead heat. So pulling off just a win in California, I think is going to be a little bit of a problem for the Sanders image. It will show what we've come to know, that he's a slow train building up momentum, and once he gets going, it's going to be great. But in the public eyes, I mean, okay, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the results of the primary election so far, and they've put Hillary Clinton suspiciously at exactly 2,383. Last week, MSNBC went on the air and said that they are going to declare Hillary Clinton the presumptive nominee right then and there, before the primary election even happened, knowing full well they are breaking DNC rules about posting pledged delegates versus super delegates. Hillary Clinton, don't let anybody lie to you. Hillary Clinton is at 1,812 delegates. And if my math is correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but that's a smaller number than 2,383. So Hillary Clinton has not clinched the nomination yet.
So Dave, let me ask you this then. Why would the Associated Press and all of those other individuals, I mean, is this thing actually still rigged or what? Because I'm not real sure why, all of this stuff continues to go on and on and on and on and on. I mean, why are they doing this to what I call the American people?
I'm baffled by it completely because even now, whether or not you believe behind the scenes she may be acting differently, but even Debbie Wasserman Schultz has said the DNC has explicitly put out to the press that they are not to count superdelegates as pledged delegates. So this whole count is a fraud. AP is committing fraud. CNN, MSNBC, all the major media outlets are committing press fraud and going against at least what Debbie Wasserman Schultz says is the policy and position of the Democratic Party and the rule. Mm-hmm. They are not supposed to count superdelegates as already cast, as votes already cast. So, yes, I do think that there is something going on here. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a collusion secretly between the DNC and the press, or if this is just some sort of thing that the press is doing all on its own. Because, and this is kind of a pet theory of mine, I think the press wants Hillary Clinton to be the presidential nominee because she polls closer to Donald Trump, so it's going to be a horse race. They're going to spend billions of dollars, and those billions of dollars in this election go to the media, and they're going to promote this idea of a horse race. With someone like Bernie Sanders as the Democratic ticket head, you have a much larger gap, and it's harder to call that a race. Mm-hmm. So that's my pet theory, is the press is colluding with Hillary Clinton, or at least promoting Hillary Clinton, in order to make this more of a horse race, because it's going to get eyeballs on their website, people changing their channel over to these news outlets to see what these guys are going to do next. And it's totally fraudulent. Mm-hmm.
So, Nikki, let me ask you this. Dave says that right now, his assertion is that Bernie and Hillary is at a statistical dead heat. He also says that he feels that there's got to be a 60 to 65% victory for Bernie Sanders, which, if that be the case, it's almost impossible for him to do that. What is it that you'd expect, being out in Las Vegas, closer to that particular area? What is it that you expect him to be able to do tomorrow night? And why do you feel the media is now saying that Hillary has clinched the actual amount of delegates to be declared the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, when in fact Dave says others are saying the same thing? Why are we getting all of this convoluted information regarding the election when you would expect this type of stuff to be happening in a third world country rather than one of the greatest countries on earth? What do you think, Nikki? Nikki, are you still there?
Okay. Sorry, Byron, I was on mute.
Okay. Did you hear the question?
I did. I heard the whole thing.
Okay.
I think that tomorrow night, I read today that 24% of California voters are independent, have not registered with any party. So those 24% voters who tend to favor Bernie, I think are going to come into play. Also, there's 2 million new voters since June, and they're all in Bernie's sweet spot. 2 million people who've never voted before or just have come of age. So I think, and the indication is they are for Bernie. It's the reason they're out there voting. So I think that's going to be an interesting play on tomorrow. I think it's going to be hard for him to get 65%. Mm-hmm. But I think those two factors are going to play really in his favor tomorrow night. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think in regard to the what's happening with the press, and I think, you said, you'd expect this. You hear about ballot tampering in third world countries. You hear about soldiers outside ballot boxes. You hear about people being intimidated to vote or paper being torn up. I think we are watching, I think we're witnessing a rigged election. I think the country is witnessing it, from the charges of voter fraud to clearly what the press is doing. I think we agreed, we kind of came to the conclusion on one of the shows, Baron, that the reason that Trump got the media attention he got during this time is because of the billions of dollars that he brought to the networks. Dave, who's like my political guru, I love his pet theory. I think if we have 6 corporations owning, or if you have large corporations owning the media, they want Hillary in. This is the country. Everything is about money. But what really kind of gets me with this whole thing is that you really speak to anyone, and everyone kind of believes, whoever they're voting for, that we have a rigged election. Mm-hmm. And we're watching it. We're doing nothing about it whatsoever. And it baffles me. It baffles me. It baffles me how Associated Press, CNN, these networks can commit the kind of fraud, as Dave explained it, is without conscience, without qualm, and it's almost like, go to hell, we're going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. We're watching a rigged election.
So, Deb, let me ask you this: being a potential delegate for Bernie Sanders, let me ask you this: if Bernie does not win, or if he does not win conventionally, how can he go to the convention and actually contest, so to speak, to try to get the nomination, when California is one of these states that we need to win? So how does that play out, Deb?
Well, for one thing, I think he'll do very good in California to start with, and that's going to be in his favor even if he doesn't take it. Secondly, once we go to the convention, what we will do is we will take all of the polls. He'll be taking the polling numbers and researching some of the facts that we've been talking about tonight, the millennials who will be voting for him. And the other thing we'll be taking with us to the convention is the fact that many of these voters that are going to put either him or Hillary in office are going to be independent voters. And Hillary has not gathered the independent vote yet, and it's going to take the independent vote to win it over. Now, that will be the fight for the nomination. That's what will be used as a fight for the nomination. Outside of that, the more important thing that we're trying to do right now is to bring a new platform to the party. And we have a lot of areas, we have a lot of groups going on right now that are drawing up platform proposals to take the state convention. We go next weekend, or actually it's this weekend. We go to state convention. I'll let you all know how that turns out. And our main goal is to overturn some of this corrupt voting, the corrupt voting policies that they have right now, voter suppression and things like that. Get rid of the superdelegates. We're trying to get rid of superdelegates and bring the voting back to a one person, one vote platform for the party.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that will all be taken to the convention.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask Paula this, then I'm gonna go to Dave, because I know Dave can go in a little bit deeper. Deb, based on what you're saying, that even if Bernie does not win, now I thought after Super Tuesday, once we left the East Coast and started going, toward the West, that was supposed to be Bernie's stronghold, which he was supposed to win 8 or some odd state primaries. And if that's not the case, Paula, how can Bernie even have the option of going in trying to say that because he's got these independents, he didn't really win all of these states that we basically thought or that was projected that he would win. How will he be able to go to the convention and convince other people that he still can be a contender during the general election? I'm asking you that, Paula.
One thing that I think he's got going for him is that he does pull stronger against Donald Trump than Hillary does in terms of winning, the election against Trump. He's favored by quite a bit in that. And I think what he's going to try and do is to convince the superdelegates that he is the stronger candidate to actually take the win in November.
Okay, Dave. Based on what
some of those superdelegates.
Right, Dave. Based on what Paula has said, and based on Deb's assertion, let me ask you this, Dave. How can let me back up. Let me ask you this first, Dave. Do you feel that those polls that are out there that are saying that Bernie is actually polling a whole lot more than Hillary against Donald, do you feel that those polls are accurate, or they are just fictitious polls to lure people in? And if so, what is it that Bernie has to do if he does not win California? How could he go in conventionally in the convention asking people to vote for him when he didn't really carry these things like it was forward in the projection? How do you feel about that, Dave?
Well, here's where I'm going to kind of have to do a little bit of double speak. The polls that show Bernie Sanders beating Trump more than Hillary Clinton to beat Trump, they are pointless for the most part. Where they are relevant is party posturing, fundraising, and a few other things like that. So it does have bearing for kind of like political wonks and insiders, stuff like that. But it is way too early to make it a credible poll. So it's kind of a catch-22 because it is Bernie's strong suit that he does poll better. And that does have some meaning, but I'm afraid it doesn't have the significance that we would like to think that it has. Although I think a lot of the analysis about how Bernie deals with the independent voters, and I think I've mentioned it before, independent voters, actually most independent voters lean either left or right. Bernie Sanders does well, obviously, with those left-leaning ones, but he also does well and polls about 20% of the right-leaning independents. And that's his strong suit is independence. But the problem is the primaries are mostly closed, and the ones that are open were states that have had mixed results. So, it's hard for him. It's going to be difficult for him to actually present a case at the convention. And if he loses California, I hate to say it, but I think that would be the end of it, because California would be a strong endorsement of his policies and positions.
Right.
Would make a good argument to convince superdelegates to actually vote for him, because superdelegates in this election are what's going to decide who is going to be the Democratic nominee. Clinton would have to win somewhere around the order of 500 of the 800 delegates, and that's highly unlikely that she's going to do that. It's highly unlikely Bernie will as well. So what we're looking at is superdelegates going to do it. Now, I'm against superdelegates, as I've said, but I'm not against them in exactly the same way most other people are. I think the superdelegates generally are fine. I don't think that they should have been used as a tool by the press to endorse Hillary Clinton, which is what they were done. They were used by the press to endorse Hillary Clinton.
Dave, there's a comment out there, and I want to get you guys to kind of talk about it. Belinda says that the superdelegates have to see what we see in these rigged primaries. They have to know how weak she is. Dave, let me bring this back to you. What is it that superdelegates are not seeing that other people are seeing? Because I'm kind of a little disappointed, and I've been a Bernie supporter, and I still am. But I'm seeing the handwriting on the wall. He's not doing what I thought he could do. Even though there are people that are out there polling for him, there are people that are going to his primaries and all this, but they're not going to the voting booth. So if that's the case, let me ask you this: if Bernie were not in the race, would Hillary in fact be polling higher than Donald? If that were the case in polls, in your opinion?
No, I absolutely disagree with that notion that Bernie is harmful to Hillary in any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, she's improved her numbers versus Donald Trump by pulling her to the left and making a distinction between Donald Trump is going to be able to run left of her on several key issues, like trade policy, for instance. He's also sort of alluded to, and it's hard to nail him down, and we've had that discussion before.
Mm-hmm.
There are some indications that he is far less of a chicken hawk in the military sense than Hillary Clinton. And those are two big issues to most liberals, so he's actually going to be able to run left of her on that. If it weren't for Bernie Sanders pulling her to the left on other issues, and even getting her to speak against TPP in the first place, I think that Donald Trump could possibly be polling 10 points higher than her at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So Bernie Sanders has actually been an aid to her. He's been a help to her. And he will continue to be a help to her if she's nominated.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nikki, I'm going to bring that same question to you, then I'll take it to Deb and then Paula. Do you feel that Bernie still being in the race is an asset to Hillary, or is it creating an adverse effect for her? Let me go to Deb since Nick is on me. Deb, let me ask you that.
I don't think that I'm with Dave. I don't think that he hurts her at all.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I do think he keeps pushing her left and bringing her towards our platforms. As a matter of fact, we've seen recently where even President Obama seems to be picking up some of Bernie's policies by talking about expanding Social Security now. So he seems to be pushing everybody to do the right thing now. Now that being said, though, the only thing that I am concerned about is that when he pushes her left and people pick her up as their candidate, when she gets the nomination, how far is she going to head back right? Is she going to turn and run back right to try to pick up more voters, which in essence just defeats our whole purpose?
Okay.
Now, to jump in here real quick, I just see Fox News just declared that. Now, Fox News reported back in that last month that Donald Trump had become the presumptive nominee. Fox News just announced that Hillary Clinton clinched the nomination. And again, I remind you, she's at 1,812 delegates out of 2,383 delegates. So Fox News is counting, again, the superdelegates as being part of her camp.
Right. So Dave, again, and I'm going to let you come in.
They are pushing the election.
Right.
They're trying to tell us now that there's no point in Californians voting.
Okay. Which to me, I'm seeing this now. Hillary Clinton. I mean, it's. Go ahead, Deb. This is unbelievable.
No.
You there, Nikki? Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me take it to Deb first, and then Nikki. Go ahead, Deb.
Okay, and that's what I was getting ready to say too. Is like that is just blatant lying, and they have put that out there to do nothing but to try to keep Californians and the other 6 states from voting right now. And I don't know. The thing is how do you stop that? How do you stop that kind of lying and that manipulation from the media? And that's been something that has hurt us from the get-go. Not only by the Bernie blackouts, but by their misreporting. I watched this all night last night through the Puerto Rico election, and I had to wait forever for them to finally show one that actually showed the true nominated delegates or elected delegates, rather than having the blended super delegates in there. And the bottom line is, she still doesn't have that nomination. She doesn't, and she probably won't. And we're going to have to keep pushing that word to everybody in California, South Dakota, and North Dakota. We need to be talking to all of those people daily. I mean, every minute. So I'm going to get off here, and that's what I'm going to do.
Right, Dale, point blank question: do you actually think that this establishment, which you guys and all of us are saying that the process is rigged, do you think that this rigged process is actually going to go against Hillary Clinton and nominate Bernie Sanders?
I don't. This is Paula.
I think I don't know. I think it can hurt him because not everybody's like us. We don't stay in contact. It won't hurt him in the millennial sector. It won't, because they're connected through media, social media, and stuff like that. So it's not going to hurt him there. It could hurt him in like the older population that aren't as connected, and some of the, for lack of a better word, more less educated populations that don't really understand how everything works. Mm-hmm. And that way it could possibly hurt us.
You know, I see Dave Lamont out there now. This is unbelievable. Hillary Clinton is at 1,812. This is rigging the primary. The media is committing fraud. This is false people in California. Please vote. This is not over. Nikki, do you agree with Dave's assertion that, this is, I can't describe this no other way other than this is third world country style. You would not think that people are trying to actually bamboozle people, being mainstream media owned by 6 corporations that owns 90% of what we see, how we see it, when we see it. Nikki, what role does this play into those young individual millennials who are out there busting their rear end for Bernie? Now they're being told, okay, well, Hillary has now clinched it. This is a bunch of, talk to me, Nikki.
I think it's, you mentioned third world. Any dictatorship that whatever form of government you had, when the government is overthrown and a new dictator comes in, the first thing they do is control the press. It's the first thing. They control what gets out to the people. And we sit here with this idea that we are the leader of the free world and a democratic country. We're not. We're not. Our criminal justice system is not. Our voting system is not. It's like who can believe it? We heard about the Nixon, how maybe he stole the election. We heard about afterwards. It was always an afterwards thing. Mm-hmm. Today we're watching it in plain daylight. And what I'm going to say again, what behooves me is the lack of real response to it. I agree with Deb, where I think that so many voters are ignorant or uneducated in the sense of not knowing about the process. And I got to thank Dave Lamont for really educating me over these last months with the process. But many are not, and many will look at that news or look at the headlines tomorrow or look at the internet tomorrow and believe it's all over. And it's fraud. Dave, you said that Bernie has to Hillary's 1,812 delegates. Bernie has 1,512. He's 300 pledged delegates behind. 300 pledged delegates. Bernie said himself, I think somewhere about 10 hours ago, He said at the end of this nominating process, no candidate will have enough pledged delegates to call the campaign a victory. They will be dependent on superdelegates. In other words, on the DNC will be a contested election. Up until July, it's a contested election. I think the ally of Bernie Sanders is time. Okay, I think it was you that said it, Byron. He's like a train. He's a steamrolling train. I don't know how this is going to play at the convention, but there's already murmurings. It's going to be messy. It's going to be really... Now, it's all dependent on Bernie winning or tying California tomorrow night. California is the most populous state in the nation. You know? And you know, they can't. I think after this election, after the primary tomorrow night, if Bernie Sanders does well, I think you're going to hear from Bernie Sanders. You know, and I don't think it's a voice that's going to get silenced, but to watch this Fox News, I mean, it's criminal.
But Nikki, let me throw this out there, and I know that Bernie has tried his very best to stay away from some issues that could have really hurt Hillary Clinton, like the email scandal, like Benghazi. You know, this guy has tried to play fair, but the process has not been fair to him, and it appears that it is not going to be fair to him. Is it? Well, let me ask this: do you think it's been a regret of Bernie's, or do you feel that it's a regret that he didn't go after her, because those are actually issues that he could have contested? Do you feel that was a regret for him, and he should have went at on and contested those issues just like everybody else has done and still doing?
No, I think Barron is not in his moral fiber to do that. I think this guy is, and I think it's one of his incredibly admirable and most beautiful traits. You know, and he's done incredibly doing. I don't think the man would compromise himself to do it. You know, I think that's a man that goes to sleep with himself every night and likes a clear conscience. I don't think he will do it.
Right, Nikki. But my issue is this. Every now and then, even a good person has to fight unfair. You know, because politics is not for those who play the rules fair. I mean, it's been obvious, and the reason why I'm asking this is because it's obvious. I mean, we're all agreeing right now that the mainstream media is creating this cloud of false, because guess what? When I was 18 years old, and if I was voting for Nikki Berwick or Dave Lamont or Paula or Deb, and they came and told me, well, it's no use in you voting for them, I would be upset and not even go to the poll and vote. So I'm trying to defend for these younger millennials. What is this saying to them now that Hillary has clinched the nominee? It's like California, it does not matter, when in fact we know that it matters. I'll let anybody want to jump in.
Well, it's kind of what I was saying earlier about Bernie being stronger against Trump in the general election. I think that Trump will have no problem digging up all the dirt that he can find on Hillary, and I think he will just rip her to shreds.
Well,
I think that's a danger.
I'll tell you, Paula, Dave Lamont just posted out there that NPR, the Associated Press, Fox News, all of them have joined in on the mass media fraud and declared the race clinched by Clinton. What is this going to do to those burning people? I mean, let me just put it this way. I think what's going to happen is this. I think there's going to be an uprising, a revolution, or whatever you want to call it. This cannot continue to go on. We are being bamboozled. We're being hoodwinked. We're being told everything that a slave master would tell a slave to keep him on a plantation. This is not working. This is absolutely unfair. It is unfair for those who want the process to be fair. It is unfair to Bernie Sanders. This is just, I'm out of breath trying to talk. Dave Lamont, come in on it.
This is outrageous. I'm fumed. I am completely fumed. I'm probably going to be resigning from the Democrat Party over this.
I'm gone.
Ridiculous. If Debbie Wasserman Schultz doesn't come out say something about this tonight, then that's it. I'm done with it. This is good. This is fraud. This is almost criminal. What's going on? I don't think it's legally a crime.
Right.
It's criminal in nature. It's the kind of thing that's happening. There's talk about President Obama coming out before the California primary to endorse Hillary Clinton. I got to tell you, I'm going to lose a lot of respect for President Obama if he does something like this. This is media fraud. This is a crime being perpetrated on us. And they're already trying to declare this is how you suppress the vote. This is one of the ways to do voter suppression. You put out in the media that it's pointless to go out. And now there's going to be, because people still get the majority of their news from this corrupt, corporate, vile group. 5 people in the country control what we see and hear on television, in newspapers, and on the radio. Because of that, they are using all of that power to make sure that they maximize their profits. The CEO of CBS News said that the reason Donald Trump was supported so much is because Donald Trump is bad for America, but good for CBS shareholders. That's it. $5 billion is going to go into the media. And that $5 billion is guaranteed if it's going to be a close race. And that's why they're doing this. They're committing fraud. I have to side with the GOP. I wish they had cut NPR's funding, because that's an organization that no longer deserves to have our respect after this.
You know, again, Dave, Deb, Nikki, Paul, and anybody else that's out there. You see, that's why every Monday and Thursday night, I spend countless hours trying to make sure that we have something that we can come on and talk about. And that's why I keep stressing that you tell a neighbor, tell a friend, your friends, if everybody will start listening to, at least none of us have an ulterior motive other than that the process be fair for everybody. And I am very disappointed at this moment. And Dave Lamont, I wanted to wait until the convention was over with to change my party affiliation. But right now, the way I feel like walking over less than 30 yards from my office and just basically changing my party affiliation to independent. This right here is typical 1892, 1764, 16, whatever it is. This is medieval times. This is not fair, and you can hear it in my voice. If you can't, I wish you could see my facial expression. I am very outraged. And Dave Lamont, if they bring Debbie Wasserman Schultz on tonight and she starts talking this BS, I don't know what we should do. But I know one thing. We should not sit here idle. If we started changing our party affiliation before the convention and for the election, Hillary Clinton would realize the Democrats that she thought she had registered, they would no longer be there for her. And if Debbie Wasserman Schultz come out tonight and they declare her the presumptive nominee, I'm done. I'm speaking solely for Baron Glass. Nikki, come in.
I just think I'm outraged. I'm just outraged. The free networks they made their money from Trump by creating this monster that is running for office. They're done with him. My guess is now you'll see the 6 come out for Hillary against Trump. Okay. And because that's who they want. Hillary is big business. Hillary is corporate. Hillary's all that's wrong with this country. She's part of it. And to watch this, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, it's a constitutional violation in so many ways. It's incredible. I think it's absolutely incredible. I'm very interested to see what Bernie does. I'm very interested to see what he does. I also think, Baron, the 18-year-olds that you're talking about that are going to get that information tomorrow. I think it is a revolution. I think these young people are going nowhere. I think these millennials are savvy. They know what's happening. And, I mean, I love the passion in Deb's voice. You know? It may not happen 2016, okay? But it sure as hell is it's gonna have massive reverberations. Massive.
Well,
it's enough already.
yeah, Dave Lamont, Belinda just posted out there that MSNBC has also jumped on the bandwagon and posted that she is one of the presumptive nominee. And I was just about to respond. Here's the deal. Either the mainstream media, they feel that we are absolutely stupid, or they just don't give a damn about the American people. And I think if they feel that way, it's time for the burn to really start the burning. And I'm not talking about Bernie himself. I'm talking about the people who are tired of being lied to, who are tired of being controlled. It's time to get off the plantation and move away. Deb, you can come in. Paula, you can come in. I am very upset at this moment.
I was just hearing something on, actually it was on Facebook last night, that in California that there were actually 2 separate ballots for independents, and that they were designed to confuse, so that if you didn't get exactly the right ballot, that ballot would not be counted. And so I tried to get that message out as much as I could. But that's been happening all over the country. And it infuriates me that they think we're that stupid.
I mean,
and that's correct. Have had 2,000 polling places in Puerto Rico, and they take it down to 400 and make it into an 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon election on a Sunday, when the transportation is down and you had to go to one place to do your local voting, and then you had to go to another polling place to do the presidential voting. That was outrageous to me.
I mean,
but I think that's what's been going on all over the place.
You were correct about the California ballot. The thing was there are a couple of ballots out there, and we've been specifically trying to direct them that they had to ask for Democratic ballots, because Bernie wasn't going to be listed on that. So the hope is, and the thing is if they did a mail-in on that, that vote was counted, I believe. But I think that they've been pushing people to go ahead and go to the polls tomorrow, and encourage them to pick that Democratic ballot. The other problem that they had in California, though, is that there is an independent party, which is actually, it's called it's something independent party. And people will register as that party. And that party is actually an extreme right-wing party. But people didn't realize that. So they thought it was just an independent. They were registering as independent, when in fact they had to register as unaffiliated. So that was also another issue out there that was causing some problems and may have led to this.
Man, I'll tell you, boy. Dave Lamont, what are you thinking at this moment, Dave? I'm not sure if Dave is out there on mute. Nikki, what are you thinking right now?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Dave, tell us what are you thinking right now, Dave? I mean, we've all said it's outrageous. We've all expressed our views. What do you think, Dave?
I just tweeted out tonight, called them media fraudulently reporting Hillary Clinton the winner. I am never Hillary. I think that sums up my thoughts on it. The media committed fraud tonight. They're trying to rig an election, and I'm not going to give them their candidate.
Deb, talk to me. You've been a Bernie surrogate. What are you thinking out there?
I tell you what, I'm so mad right now. I can't even think straight. I don't think I have ever been this angry with the media or anything. I mean, I've been pretty angry all along, but this was a crime. They have just committed a crime. This is nothing more than Russian, like the propaganda that they dropped during World War I, World War II out of the biplanes. I mean, it's outrageous that's happened. And right now, I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to field like I have a lot of people on my Bernie pages, and they are all at me right now going, what just happened? What just happened? So I'm trying to field some questions, trying to calm everybody down, and hopefully all my connections have enough connections that they can connect with people in California. I do have some people connected in California to our Missouri page, and hopefully we'll get the word out and start spreading it and tell people, don't walk away from this. You have got to get in there.
You know what? I'm sitting here thinking right now, and I think it was Paula or somebody asked a question earlier. I'm beginning to believe now that all of this stuff has been well orchestrated up until this very moment. Because, now I wanted to give Hillary just a little credit, even though, I'm not supporting her and will not support her. But now I believe that the establishment, all of those people from California, I can't think of Barbara Boxer and Dianne Feinstein, the mayor the governor of California, who I had much respect for. All of these guys are in bed with the establishment, and I believe that they have struck a deal with mainstream media strictly for this purpose. And once again, Hillary gives when she receives. She's received something now. Now she's in the bed with mainstream media. When she becomes whatever, if that's the case, she's got all those debts to pay, and the American people will still suffer as they would under Donald Trump presidency. What do you think about that, Nikki?
I think you're absolutely right, Byron. I've maintained from the beginning that she had debts to pay. She's in too many corporate pockets. She has debts to pay, and those debts have to be paid. I think also that I tend to bring it down personal rather than keep it in the abstract.
Hey, Nikki, hold on. Let me give this. Here's the official statement by Belinda posted from the Bernie Sanders campaign. I want you guys to listen, and I think, Deb, you're right. It is unfortunate that the media, in a rush to judgment, are ignoring the Democratic National Committee's clear statement that it is wrong to count the votes of superdelegates before they actually vote at the convention this summer. Secretary Clinton does not have and will not have the requisite number of pledged delegates to secure the nomination. She will be dependent on superdelegates who do not vote until July the 25th and who can change their minds between now and then. They include more than 400 superdelegates who endorsed Secretary Clinton 10 months before the first caucuses and primaries and long before any other candidate was in the race. Our job from now until the convention is to convince those superdelegates that Bernie is by far the strongest candidate against Donald Trump. You have now heard it from the Bernie Sanders campaign. You guys go at it. What do you think?
Well, I think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that what you just said about the superdelegates having been in on this since the very beginning, way before the campaign even started. There were rumblings about, say, Montana sold out for $1,600 and some dollars for their representatives to supposedly get kicked back to the state. When that check was cut to the state of Montana, the very next day, that very same amount went into the Hillary Victory Fund. Now, I don't know if those states have been paid that money back or not, but I think that what they did was they went and they convinced a whole lot of people that they would be in support of their reelection if they went along with their scheme.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
go ahead, Paula. Go ahead.
33 states is what I heard.
33 states. That's over half of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking here now. Somebody said in the Bernie Believers, don't believe the BS people. She's not even close. They keep adding superdelegates to suppress us. She can't get it. It will be contested. Get out there tomorrow and stand your ground. Nikki, you're close on that West Coast. What do you think the West Coast will do tomorrow regarding what's going on tonight? Do you think this has antagonized them enough to get out there in those record numbers, which Bernie feels if there's a high turnout, he can actually win this thing? What are you thinking out there on the West Coast?
I think he can. I think he's energized the state. I think everywhere he goes, every small town. I think he was in Vallejo yesterday. People are coming out in numbers. California is the most populous state. California also is one of those states that's about clean air, that type of thing. It's a perfect Bernie state. It really, really is. It's 52% of the voters in an interesting statistic. 48% of the voters in California are non-white. Not only, I think 7% are black, but it's a state where you have a lot of immigrants, you have a lot of poor, you have a lot of, there is the 1% rich, and they live at the beach. Okay, but California is a state tailor-made for Bernie, and I think they're coming out in droves. I think this is. I think this may turn back on the DNC. I think it may turn back on the media. I'm sincerely hoping it will. I think the outrage on this is just it's so wrong. It's so wrong. And I think that the maybe the moral outrage that I keep looking for in all kinds of things might happen right here. Bernie has time, and it is a contested election until July. Because they can say what they want, the media can say what they want, but it is a contested election until those superdelegates vote. Mm-hmm. I'm really interested to see what happens with Bernie in the next day or two.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I hope the man stands tall and just comes down like a ton of bricks. He has that kind of moral character, Yeah,
I'll tell you, this is just... again, I said earlier, you would expect this to, be happening in, Iraq or some of these places who are just now, Afghanistan, just setting up, voting, opportunities to vote, rather. But in a developed country for 200 years minimum, you wouldn't expect that the mainstream media, these 6 corporations, are controlling millions and millions of people. I wonder what would happen if every Bernie voter that's out there, a Bernie supporter, or those who feel like the revolution should continue. I wonder what would happen if everybody just turned off their television for a week and listened to perhaps the Smoking Glass Hour or some other media outlet that's out there that's not putting or pushing this propaganda. I wonder what would happen to their ratings at that point. What do you think, Deb? I know you're out there tweeting, but I want to keep you in the conversation. Go ahead, Deb.
Okay, can you say the question one more time real quick?
I'm wondering...
I got some panic people.
Yeah, I'm wondering what would happen if all of those who are out there who are for the revolution, those who are for Bernie, those who've been supporting Bernie, just said, okay, we're going to contest what we're seeing. We're going to stop looking at mainstream media. We're going to find some other type of media outlet to look at, listen to, that's giving a fair and balanced assessment of what's going on. What do you think would happen to mainstream media then? Do you think they would get the message?
Well, I think we're headed to that. I think we're kind of headed that direction anyway. They're not going to get the message right now because we still have too much of the older, disconnected population. So they're still feeding into that population, the older Americans of all ethnicities, really. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Just they're looking at their focus on that generation, those generations. Now, when you look at the younger generation, they are going to alternate medias like you and like the Young Turks and places like that, which I am too. I mean, I watch them more than, but I still watch the mainstream media just so that I can know the lies that are coming through there, so I can just spell them. Now, at this point, what we're going to have to do, and this is what I'm tweeting about right now, and I'm trying to get a hold of my people, is that we got to get people on phone banking tonight to start making as many calls as we possibly can to dispel the lies that just came out. And we don't have much time to do it.
Well, I'll tell you, we got a message out there now. We need to quit watching and pull all of our advertising dollars out. That makes very much common sense. I think it's something that's easy to do. I think it's something that we should do. I think, you chastise people based on their actions, and it is clear and convincing tonight that mainstream media don't give a damn about what somebody thinks. They don't care. They're going to do exactly what they want to do, and they just showed this tonight. Dave Lamont, what are you looking at out there now? What's trending out there as far as what you're seeing?
Well, I particularly like how there's a little bit of a revolt going on. I was just looking at Joan Walsh, who works for MSNBC, and
Salon.com.
Page at the network.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She also is a correspondent on MSNBC.
Right.
And she's spoken out about how this is how Californians are being relegated to being irrelevant, and that calling this election before it's over is basically wrong. So there is some pushback from this that's happening. It's just I look at the numbers. Most people get their information from the news media. And I'm just afraid people are going to sit there and see this stuff that the media is putting out, and it's going to discourage them. This is voter suppression.
Exactly. Dave, what do you think about this? Now, we know that Clinton has her surrogates out there fighting extremely hard for her. I think now's the time that all of Bernie's surrogates, I think Cornel West needs to be out there hitting, talking. He needs to be talking to the black population that's out there. Bernie needs to have everybody from every different angle. In other words, I think there needs to be a shock and awe at this point from Bernie Sanders' camp. If he doesn't do it, he's acting too passive. He needs to have his people out there explaining exactly what's going on and why they need to be out there voting, not just tomorrow, but from henceforth on. Otherwise, Bernie Sanders would not be the nominee. What do you guys think?
I think Bernie Sanders supporters won't buy it. They're so, the one thing I get about the Bernie Sanders supporters, they're well connected with each other. They're their own source of information. And I think just as Deb's on it right now, I think that's what you're going to see happen, Baron. That if you've declared yourself a Bernie supporter, you're probably in league with some kind of organization, some kind of something that's connected with other supporters, so non-mainstream. One of the things I wanted to say, and it's going to come back to Hillary Clinton in a moment, whoever made those decisions as a network, we're going to come out this way tonight, they were, there's probably a war room someplace, those decisions were called by someone. They were called by someone. Not some abstract media decision. Those decisions had to be very executive kind of decisions, because I don't think the networks are stupid and they know exactly what they're doing. And I think it's probably they probably weighed the pros and the cons before they did it, and the deciding factor would be money and depending on the apathy of the American people. Mm-hmm. Somebody made those decisions. And I think those decisions were probably sitting there for a while, and as Bernie's gained support in California, and four networks coming out together, they're all in collusion. There wasn't some random guy at Fox said, I think we'll announce it. Mm-hmm. And so it's quite unbelievable, but that's a very executive decision. The second thing is we're talking about Debbie Wasserman Schultz coming out and hopefully saying something against it. Why the hell doesn't Hillary Clinton herself do it? Woman is immoral. You know, do you want to win by those tactics?
Right.
Yes, she does. Where is Hillary? You know, a stand-up person would say, hey, you know what? Wait, guys. You know, I haven't won it. Where is her voice? You know, we kind of attribute her voice to Debbie Wasserman Schultz's bullshit. You know, the woman has no morality. You know, it's like winning the Super Bowl game on a penalty call that you know wasn't a penalty. You know, where is she in this? And from the beginning, I think this group has maintained this woman wants to win at any cost, and I absolutely believe that she is somehow involved in these decisions. Now, Hillary, we had a show where we talked about her bad judgment. Hillary is the queen of bad judgment. She's always the wrong bad judgment.
God, that's a very good tweet.
So, bordering legal, but always. You know, and there's a slew of bodies left in her wake. I'm.
Go ahead.
The whole process stinks.
Go ahead, Paula.
I think that my personal opinion of Hillary is not a good one at all. I was reading an article the other day about the coup that she orchestrated in Honduras, and she says that she's for women's rights, and she's this, and she's that, and she was the Children's Defense Fund leader, and she puts herself out there to be this shining star of a woman that she is not. I think she is a cheater. I think she's a liar. I think that she is a war hawk. I think that she's going to get us into some terrible, terrible situations. And I won't be surprised if we wind up having war on our own soil.
Well, I'll tell you, Paula, I think many of us out there agree to this. Dave Lamont, let me kind of switch gears a little because we got about 27 minutes left. I have never seen this. Maybe you guys have. How can Donald Trump come out and chastise the judge about his ethnicity and all of those types of things, and nobody really contests that? Now, I seen this morning where Joe Scarborough on Morning Joe, I seen where a couple others came out. I mean, how is this guy able to get away with saying everything that America does not stand for? I'm going to start with you, Dave Lamont.
Because, quite frankly, they have to sit there and promote Donald Trump and build him up so that they have this horse race. I think it's all about the money now. I think it's all about, political spending. I don't think that there's an ounce of journalistic credibility left anymore. It's a weak candidate. It's two weak candidates, so they're propping up both of them, letting them get away with stuff that you wouldn't see in any other campaign. I mean, how long did they ride the Bernie Sanders with the hacking incident that turned out to be nothing? How long did the media ride that? About 2 weeks. What are they doing with Donald Trump? Maybe you might hear a little bit about how he's attacking this judge, a federal judge, and saying just the most obscene things that you can do in the public eye, and they're not calling him out on it because they don't want to. They want this horse race. They want to make sure this is all a thing that they want to make sure this is all rigged for them to get the most money out of the system.
I agree with you, Dave. I heard this morning, I was up early and I was watching CNN or MSNBC, and I heard Donald Trump say, and I couldn't even believe that he said it, but he said, "I am the most famous man in the world."
And he believes
right
that.
Now.
He believes that.
He believes it.
Right.
And he loves it. He doesn't care what he says. He
Right.
doesn't care about the country. He doesn't care about the people. He doesn't care about. He's a sociopath.
Right. He cares about himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again,
When you,
go ahead, Paula. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the last couple of times when we had a presidential election, or at least the last time we did, the Republicans came out with such a weak lineup and such a large lineup of people, and really none of them stood out as presidential material.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same thing happened this time, only I think Trump just beat the crap out of them until they just gave up.
But right now, Dave Lamont, Deb, Paul, I think all of you guys would agree with this. If Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders were to say the things that Donald Trump is saying, we all would denounce it, and if they didn't stop it, we wouldn't support it. My question is, why are all of these established Republicans, Paul Ryan, for instance, why are they steady out there saying that they're going to vote for this guy? No, do they in fact believe what he's believing, or they just lying to us? I mean, somebody talk to me about that.
They want to stay.
Well,
They want to stay in power.
Yeah.
He's the shot that they have. There is no conscience. There is no. They don't represent us. They represent themselves. And it's blatantly apparent to anyone. Why are they not calling them out? I mean, you're watching a dying party, but because they want to stay in power, they want a Republican in office. There is no conscience involved here. It's sickening. It's just sickening.
Dave Lamont.
Go ahead.
That's the whole angle that I had mentioned, obedience. This is, you're going to see, especially with the press declaring the election over on the Democrat side, you're going to see that more and more Republicans who said that they wouldn't support Trump, they're going to turn around and fall right in line and obey and support Trump. Or they're just going to remain quiet. That's the other tactic that's often used. If you don't support the person in your party, you just remain quiet. And that's what's going on now. You're seeing the Republicans doing exactly what they normally do. They fall in line. The trouble is, the old saying goes, Republicans fall in line and Democrats fall in love. I don't think you're going to be saying this in 2016 about the Democrats falling in love.
I just, you guys, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight because I'm worried about, I'm worried about what I'm seeing because I wrote earlier, and I believe this. I think if Hillary becomes the nominee and ultimately goes on to be the president, we will be set back for at least a generation, if not more. And the question is, could we ever be able to recoup what we're losing and what's at stake here in 2016? What do you think about that, Deb, Dave, Nikki, or Paula? I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that Hillary is so far in debt right now that even if she is president, she has no power. I mean, she is ruled by the 0.1%. She doesn't, she can't go up against the oil companies. She can't go up against the pharmaceutical companies. She can't go up against the insurance companies. Even though she has acted like she's being left a little bit, she can't do it.
I just can't. This is worrying me. Go ahead on, Deb. Nikki, Dave, jump in.
I had something there. You were talking about the Republicans and why they're doing it. And here's my theory on it is the Republican Party is now 27% of the voting population. They are desperate to save their party. That is such, and Nikki's right, that is such a dying party, and they are desperate to save it. And if he's the one that got that much of the vote, they're going to go against anything just to preserve that big red R. Now, that being said, as far as Bernie supporters go, I was recently also reading that regardless of how this California turns out, that they were talking about how there were a few of them that would probably go back and support Hillary, but about approximately, I mean, we're not counting those. Out of the rest of them, there's about a third of them that would vote for Bernie anyway, regardless, just because of his message. There's a third of them that will vote for him regardless because they don't trust Hillary and they view her as the female side of Donald Trump. And then there's another third of them that are like me, and we are just die hard. We just want to give up. So right now, at this point, I'm counting on that, and that is what I'm going after right now on all of my social media, is to rally those other two-thirds that are not me and get them to the polls tomorrow, because this is going to be desperate tonight. We have got to get in contact with these people. We have got to get them to the polls tonight, and we have got to let them know how the media has desperately lied to them tonight.
Well, I just got a question out there. I'm going to ask you guys. And the question was, didn't Hillary already run this country once under her husband's name?
Yes, she did.
Well, think about that question. It's simple, but it's deep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's really no laughing matter at this point, because, like I said, this is becoming close to being catastrophic, in my opinion. And because
can you repeat that question, Darren?
Didn't Hillary already run this country once under her husband's name?
Yes, she did.
Well,
yes,
she did, and she's going to try to do it again. She's already said that she's going to put him in charge of the economy. Well, he don't rule our economy all the hell with all that. Excuse me, but he almost blew our economy out. I mean, he started it. He actually started it. I agree. The Bushes finished it off. But he started off without all those trade agreements, and she wants to put him back in charge of it. She has said that already, and we can't let that happen.
Well, if what has taken place tonight, Deb, continues to go forward and there's no backlash, or there's no pushback, or there's no recanting on what's going on, Dave Lamont, don't you think it's almost certain to happen that because I'm wondering now what's going to happen when all these people that say, I'm not a sayer, I'm a doer, I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my party affiliation should Hillary become the nominee. And like I said, I have a good mind when I wake up in the morning to go and do it tomorrow, but I'm just not sure it's going to happen. What do you think about that, Dave Lamont? Do you think she's going to prevail? And if so, what's going to be the backdrop? What's going to be the backlash?
I think that this is going to be a very difficult sell for the base. Not impossible, just very difficult. I am considering dropping out of the Democratic Party tonight. Even my state has the ability to do it online, so I could do it right after the show if I want to.
Really? Yeah, and Dave, the only reason I'm reserving the right now, and I'll tell you the reason why, because sometimes we humans often make decisions on emotions. I want to be fair. I want to be open-minded about it. I'm upset, so I don't want my emotions to supersede what reality is. Reality to me is going to be when the process is over with. If Hillary gets this nomination, then I'm out anyway, because I think the process has been rigged from day one. I'm hoping that there's a change. Sam Cooke, we always say that a change is going to come. I'm looking for that change. If the change does not come, I am out. What do you say about that, Deb? What are you guys are going to be saying to your delegates that are out there, all of those people that you're trying to get Bernie to vote? What are you guys are going to be saying to them from here on out?
Okay, here's what I've got to say, is Dave, don't drop out of it. What we need to do is infiltrate it. There's probably an open seat in the DNC committee in your local, and you need to run for it. Darren, it's the same way where you're at. Anybody can run for these positions if they are a registered Democrat in any state. And the only way that we're going to be able to do this, because the Democratic Party is going to continue to do what they have started, what they have done all this time. They're going to keep going in the direction they're going. They're going to keep suppressing votes. So it's going to take people like us, progressives, not to walk away from the party, but actually to infiltrate it. We're going to have to run for those local DNC chairs and take the party over. And that's the only way it's going to change, because you're going to continue, unless we can turn it around into a progressive party like it's supposed to be to begin with, you're going to continue to have an independent party, growing independent party, that will continue to be fragmented instead of being able to pull all of those together into a strong, workable party.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quit, run for a seat.
Well, I'll tell you, Dave, Nikki, Paula, Deb, we got about 14 minutes left. Is there anything else out there trending that we pretty much failed to mention tonight, or that somebody want to mention to make sure that our listeners can be well informed, unlike this propaganda that the election is over with, don't go out and vote in California tomorrow? As a matter of fact, we are asking that you go out and vote in California and any other state that's out there. We are also asking that everybody remain calm until all the delegates have been counted, because people can change their minds. They may be just as upset as we are because of the process. So we need to make sure that we wait. So Dave Lamont, I'll start with you. Is there anything else out there trending that you'd like to discuss before we go?
No, I think we've actually covered everything, and I think we're all a bit distracted from the act that was just committed upon us. That's going to be kind of the center of my conversation, probably until the results come in tomorrow, and we see what the media effect has on the voter suppression effort. I'm hot right now, but I am not going to make any decision final at this point. I'm going to wait to see the process play out, and we'll see. But I'm exceedingly disappointed.
Right. And Dave, I'll tell you this. Deb, you're very good at it. Paul, I'm not sure if you're on. Nikki, I'm not sure if you're on. But when you guys post something, in order for multiple people to see it, tag some of us in it, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, because what happens is we are able to inform different people from different walks of life. So when you put out some information, if you tag somebody, that information can be shared on a wider base than just posting it yourself. That's one way. Nikki, is there anything out there that's trending that I know we missed out on Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all times? We can come back to that at some point, or if somebody else has got something out there. Nick, I'm going to go to you, then I'm going to go to Deb, and then I'm going to go to Paula, and by that time we're going to be able to end the segment.
I think when they write the history books 50 years down the line, if they begin to write it correctly, it's going to be a seminal moment. I think it's a really seminal moment. I think it's a uniting, in plain daylight, of the powers in the country. I think it's an absolute uniting of it. I think it's the beginning. I love history, and I think it's the beginning of the end of something. It's the beginning of the end of the farce that's been going on for so long. I think it's the beginning of the end of what we call democracy. I know we're a republic in America. You can always look back at those old civilizations, and you can pinpoint where they began to deteriorate. And the one thing that's common in all of them is their institutions imploded. And I think our institutions are imploding. And, when that begins to happen, and when you have a blatant, total disregard of the will of the people, you're on your way to something else, and it cannot anymore be called democracy.
Well, I'll tell you, Nick, and not meaning to cut you off, I'm reading somewhere here. I don't know how reliable this is. Dave, Deb, Belinda, if you guys out there, you might know it. Says superdelegates have started telling the press that considering the email situation and Bernie's favorable poll numbers against Trump, that they will switch from Hillary to Bernie if he wins California. Considering the momentum in the polls and the groundswell of new voter registration, this is not at all out of the question. If the supers start switching and bad news continues to trickle out around her email situation, there could be a tidal wave of movement from Hillary to Bernie. Paula, Deb, it's on you.
I agree.
Well,
I think that could absolutely happen.
Mm-hmm. Deb, what do you think?
Go ahead.
Well, Deb is. Go ahead.
It was what now again, Mayor? I'm sorry, I'm still doing damage control here.
Okay. Finish doing damage control, Deb. Let Dave Lamont. What do you think about that? Because I know, Deb, you tweet a lot. Dave Lamont, what do you think about that?
I'm not sure about the about that story. I'd like to.
Right. See, and that's why I say I'm not either.
Yeah. So, because I think, they're political. They're part of the political establishment. So I don't see that. I think that they'll see this as a victory as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think, Nikki?
This is what they want.
What do you think, Nikki?
I tend to agree with Dave. I'm hoping that there's some kind of action. I'm looking to hear from Bernie Sanders. I'm hoping there's some kind of real outrage against this and people rise. But I think in regard to the superdelegates, they're part of the political process. And I think the political process is rigged. I think it's very rare, and I think it's been Bernie Sanders' appeal is to find someone with a moral conscience, and I think that's what he's ignited, but I don't really see many more out there like that, I just think our process is imploding from the inside. We're no longer represented.
And that right there poses the problem. When you are no longer represented by those who are supposed to be representing you, then you clearly have a problem. Tonight we have been talking about the California primary, which is less than 24 hours. We also asked the question, can Bernie Sanders pull an upset tomorrow? What must he do to win? We know that tomorrow is not out of the question. So if you're out there listening right now live, or you go back and listen to the archive, please make sure you understand that regardless as to what mainstream media is saying, the Associated Press, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, and anybody else that's out there, California is just as important yesterday as it will be tomorrow. So if you are a Bernie supporter, continue to go out there and fight for the cause, because when you start the fire, you let it go out on its own. You don't let somebody come in and pour some water. My point is, because people are saying this, you don't let them stop you from doing that. Tonight we've been joined by Mr. Dave Lamont, Miss Nikki Bedrick, Miss Deb, Miss Paula, and anybody else that's out there, all of those out there on the line listening, all of those out there listening on the web, listening on Spreaker.com, or who may go to iTunes or TuneIn or YouTube. Please continue to listen, and remember that our number one goal is simply to make a difference. And I believe that Dave Lamont, Nikki Bedrick, Paula and Deb, and anybody else who have joined this particular broadcast, number one goal is to tell the truth. There are no ulterior motives. So tell a neighbor, tell a friend. We're on the move in 2016. Check us out Thursday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be talking more, probably the after results of the California primary. I know Dave Lamont will be out there screaming live from Screens from the Center on Blab. Dave, tell us what you got coming up.
I'm going to be doing a post primary show. We're going to discuss the results and open the discussion for everybody to see what we get out of it.
Dave just posted out there from Clinton's Twitter account, we're flattered, Associated Press, but we've got primaries to win. So, Dave, it appears that she's not taking the bait thus far. What do you think?
It does seem so. I just posted up that Hillary Clinton's account, she says she's flattered, but still got primaries to win. So a little bit of a positive thing from Hillary Clinton there. Kind of tepid, but at least it's something.
Dave, that's why I like you and Belinda and all of you guys that are on here, man. Y'all be on the move. Y'all be out there looking for this information. You guys be out there doing damage control. You guys be out there trying to find the facts, fact checking and all that. And I really, 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 really Do appreciate all of you guys joining in. And as long as we have voices, we're going to continue to move forward. Again, if you'd like to host a show one night, just let me know and I'll sit back in the seat and let you host. If anybody want to come up and host Thursday night, they may do so. If so, send me a message, send me a tweet or whatever so we can talk about it. Once again, tell a neighbor, tell a friend. Good night, Dave Lamont. Good night, Nikki Bedford. Good night, Paul, and good night, Belinda. Not Belinda. Yes, Belinda. And good night, Deb. I'm getting kind of tie-tongue in it because I'm real upset about this Bernie Sanders stuff that's going on against Bernie. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.